Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. My name is David Sandoval, and um, I'm one of the founders of this incredible community, this organization of caring people, of like minded people, of people who are interested not only in securing, you know, um, our own wellness, but also in sharing that message and to being part of this broadcast system, the Purium Broadcast Network, if you would, because we are what is called a network organization, a networking organization. And that means that we are finding our voice and sharing knowledge that we believe could be useful. So once again, my name is David Sandoval, but I don't mind if you forget that. I just hope that you won't forget some of the compelling information that I'm sharing with you tonight. Our name is Purium, and that's Purium, and that's the PUR from pure. The first three letters are also the first three letters of pure. And then IUM are the last three letters of premium. And when you put pure and premium together, that spells quality. A quality that is rarely, if ever, seen in the world today. And that's because quality is our calling card. It's the reason we exist, because quality food, pure food, and premium nutrient dense food is quickly disappearing. It's quickly disappearing from this world today. And if there's one thing I am extremely proud of, it's that we are gatekeepers. We hold the line on quality, we hold the line on purity, and we are able to deliver dozens and dozens and dozens of nutrient dense superfoods, organic, high quality superfoods directly to your door. You don't need to go from store to store because we deliver it virtually right to your door. And I live in a food desert. I live in the mountains. I live literally 14 miles from the post office. I live 16 miles from the first gas station and 24 miles from the closest grocery store. And if I want to go to a store like Whole Foods or Sprouts or Lassen's, I need to drive over an hour and a half. And so every couple of weeks, I do just that. I will get in my car, I'll drive through the canyon, and I'll go from store to store to store with the list of foods that I hope to find. And it is getting harder and harder to find. It is becoming more and more difficult for me to stock my shelves with the quality of food that I need to make meals for my family. And I'm extremely proud of the fact that my wife and my two children, once or twice a day, once minimum, but most of the time, twice a day, are going to get their core nutrition met, their core nutritional needs met, because they are, you know, addicted to, I guess, we are dedicated to our Purium lifestyle. And that Purium lifestyle is one that serves communities like mine, but it also serves communities that are literally 1 or 2 minutes away from the nearest grocery store, 3 or 4 minutes away from the nearest supposed health food store, because those health food stores are more often than not owned by some large corporation. You cannot walk in and meet the owner. You cannot walk in and ask questions about why or how or where they got the things that they are selling you. And so tonight, I am giving a voice to the voiceless. I am giving assistance to those who give assistance, because it was brought to my attention that people, over 500,000 people in the United States today, are living on not foods that they have selected, but foods that are selected for them, because again, they're the voiceless. They are eating through a feeding tube. And people say 500,000 people out of the entire United States of 350 million people seems like a very small number. Why would you dedicate so much time and effort in service to a fraction of the population, a percentage of 1% of the population? And the reason is because we care. The reason is because no population group is too small for us to want to bring this quality of nutrition that we offer, to bring it into their lives. And like I said, I am trying to give assistance to those who give assistance. So for all of you who love, for all of you who know, for all of you who care for someone whose sole sustenance, that is that which sustains you, that's that word, sustenance, the thing that sustains you, their entire world is built around what other people choose for them. So to help those people make better choices, I wanted to bring attention to a protocol that was developed specifically because someone called me, someone wrote to me actually, and they told me that they needed a little bit of guidance. And so for those of you who may need that same guidance, I wanted to share with you, I wanted to share with you the things that I have learned in doing research, the things that I've shared with you. And that is that the 500,000 people who are being sustained through feeding tubes are completely different. They come from completely different backgrounds. They're different ages. They're different everything, because there are just, as I said, a handful of reasons why, maybe 7 to 10 or 12 reasons at the most, why people would be eating through a feeding tube. But those people deserve our love. They deserve our help. They deserve our assistance. So let's get started. I'm really excited to share this information with you. We have put together, a protocol for feeding tubes because most of the time, people eating through feeding tubes are eating some prepared meal, replacement drink, something that comes in a plastic bottle, something that is, in a liquid form already. So it has to be filled with preservatives. It's filled with additives. It has artificial this and artificial that. The only nutritional value to it is that which comes from, what are called, I think you've heard this word, the pharmaceutical industry. They are premixes of nutrients that are typically synthetic. They have these ingredients that are also very questionable, artificial fats, artificial flavors, artificial this and that. They're rarely the high quality, if ever, maybe never. I hate to use the word never, but they are never of the highest quality, the quality that you would eat if you were to choose this food for yourself. And so Purium offers a foundation. We offer a foundation of organic, whole food ingredients that will again include dozens of the highest quality, nutrient dense foods, some amazing adaptogenic herbs, some extremely, extremely high quality proteins, protein like you'd never ever find in one of these meal replacement beverages. And so I wanted to share just what we have put together with you so that you can, in turn, share it with others who may need it. So what's in this protocol? What exactly is it that we're offering? And it starts with our power shake, our deep, dark, green, pigmented foods that are based in and contained in again, a combination of gummy beta glucans. Now, why are gummy beta glucans so important in the world today? Of course, we all know that they've been credited with lowering cholesterol. We all know that they have been credited by me with using that gummy substance to actually hold our other nutrient dense ingredients against the wall of your intestines. But recent science has showed that these same gummy beta glucans that might lower cholesterol, that help deliver our nutrient dense foods through your intestinal wall, are actually capable of potentially removing what they're calling forever chemicals. And this toxicity that is surrounding us, that abounds in our world, needs to be addressed. So I call it daily detoxification, the process of detoxifying your body, not with a once a month cleanse or once a year cleanse, but with a daily detoxification protocol. And the Appleberry Power Shake is loaded with these critical nutrients, these critical detoxifying compounds. And it is the first in our list of the Purium protocol. The next is our dark berry protein, with over a dozen of the darkest, deepest pigmented foods loaded with what are called polyphenols. Polyphenols, these things that are credited with being so beneficial to our brain, so beneficial to our heart, so beneficial to our immunity. And this dark berry protein is also contains a full serving of high quality vegetable protein, the type of protein that builds collagen. And if you're in a state where you can't move, if you're perhaps in a state where it's very difficult for you to get exercise or to even move about too freely, collagen will begin to deplete. So not only is this going to nourish you, it is going to help you to stay in your best possible shape, to stay in your best possible, way cellularly, by building collagen, which is the connective tissue that lies between our bones and our organs, that surrounds our brain, that surrounds our heart, that surrounds, our muscles, and helps maintain our form. So dark berry protein and the LOV, live organic vegan, that's what that stands for. It is a super meal. We call it the super meal. And the super meal is very high in protein. It's high in essential fats. It has almost a dozen adaptogenic herbs. And it is an excellent addition to these protocols for all of those reasons. Our alpha omega, a long chain fatty acid, the type of fatty acids that are credited with being so beneficial in what we call the Mediterranean diet. It is the fat that all of the doctors are recommending. It's the type of fat that's found in oily fish like salmon and sardines. It is much healthier though, because it will not have any contaminants. Unlike other sources of long chain fatty acids, it will not have heavy metals. It won't have mercury. It won't have other contaminants that are typically, part and parcel of these qualities of fat. And then Allo Digest. Why Allo Digest? Well, for the very reason that's in its name, because we want you to have maximum digestive ability. We want you to be able to detox, chemicals like glyphosate out of your body. And so this daily detoxification is served by the Power Shake. It's served by the Super Meal. It's served by the Alpha Omega, and served by Allo Digest. And Allo Digest is an excellent combination of enzymes, aloe vera, and other awesome ingredients that we'll talk more about in just a little bit. Now, the Super Amino 23, as you know, these are the highest quality proteins in the world. They create lean muscle. Okay. They put lean muscle on your body. And they also help with that connective tissue. They also help with what's called elasticity. And that elasticity, just like we talked about building collagen, building lean muscle, it helps maintain someone's form. It helps them continue to look good. And when you look good, you feel good. It's just a common knowledge. So these are not just nutrient dense foods. These are functional phytochemicals. These are functional foods. And when we talk about regenerative farming, everybody's heard that name. These are regenerative nutrition. They not only support, they help regenerate your body. And that is critical. Now, in addition to the super aminos, we cannot forget that electrolytes are one of the forgotten superfoods when it comes to people who are having feeding tubes. Okay. When you are eating through a feeding tube, oftentimes the need for electrolytes, the need for high quality minerals is forgotten. So this is a powerful, a powerful combination. And as you could see, we're giving you 2 servings of each of these, with the exception of ionic elements, which 1 serving is enough to sustain you. Now, how many nutrients are actually found in this protocol? Well, let's just look at this by the numbers. The Aloe Digest has 11, okay, 11 superfood nutrients. The Power Shake has 14 superfood ingredients. The Dark Berry, 23 superfood ingredients. And the Love Super Meal has over 30 superfood ingredients. And if you just do a little quick math, okay, that's almost 80 superfood ingredients that are in this protocol. And that's pretty impressive. So let's look specifically. You can see by this chart, there are organic fruits, there's organic vegetables, there's organic superfoods, and this is to maximize your nutrition. So just take a quick look at that. I'm not going to read them all off because you can see, I guess I could, but you could read carrots and pomegranates, tart cherry, and amalaki. Okay, amalaki is one of the highest sources of vitamin C, natural food-based kind of vitamin C. We have cabbage and parsley. We have rose hips, which is another natural source of vitamin C, blueberries, black currant, alfalfa, wheatgrass, raspberries, blackberries. We have camu, another natural source of vitamin C, kale, oatgrass. We have cranberries and acai. We have grape seeds and we have pumpkin. We have acerola, broccoli, makai, beetroot, and more. So this is a serious introduction of superfoods directly into the feeding tube, directly into the stomach cavity, directly into the nutritional matrix of these dear people who have no choice but can now find their voice through you. And when we look at protein, it's really important for people who are immobile. Sometimes they're unable to, move around very much. They need high quality protein. And we deliver just that. We have over 10 grams of protein, but that is equal to that 10 grams of protein in the super aminos is equal to about 100 grams of protein that you might get from an animal based source. And it comes with zero effect on your liver and your kidneys, zero stress on your liver and your kidneys. The Power Shake offers 14 grams, the Dark Berry, 32 grams, and of course, the Love Super Meal, over 40 grams of protein. Now, this is plant-based protein, vegan protein, high quality, nutrient dense protein, the type of protein that typically might be missing from these other meal replacements, which is sort of a joke to me, that they call them a meal replacement. What meal are they replacing? A hamburger and fries? Because they're definitely not the type of meal that you would want if you were to choose it. Now, in addition to superfoods, we have adaptogenic herbs. Things like maca, lion's mane, tremella, shiitake mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, rhodiola root, Eleutherococcus seticosus. We've got cordyceps and turkey tail. This is a combination of herbs, of mushrooms, of adaptogens that are valued for centuries over different cultures across the world. Yet somehow they all come together right here in and under the umbrella of the Purium lifestyle, under the umbrella of, as we are saying, these protocols for your feeding tube friends, people that you're caring for now better than perhaps they've ever been cared for before. Now we know that there are different tube sizes. This has been brought to my attention. The smaller tubes are, as we know, they're going to be less invasive. They might be more comfortable. The larger tubes might be able to receive more, more food faster. But regardless of what, excuse me, regardless of what size feeding tube you're using, this is going to be appropriate in almost every instance without exception. So we've broken down for you just how many calories are going to be provided by the Purium protocols, okay? And we're going to show you later what those all add up to. But here's a chart for you so that you could see how many calories are going to be provided by each of these. Now at the bottom, the super aminos have almost no calories. The ionic elements have almost no calories. But at the top of the list, the dark berry, the apple berry, the love super meal, the alpha omega, those are going to provide a decent amount of calories, but we know that that is not enough calories to sustain you calorically, but they're going to cover your bases nutritionally. We have put together a list of some recommended, potentially complementary foods, but of course you'll be able to choose your own. But here's a quick look at some things that might be recommended. Things like raw honey, almond butter, and oat milk. These are going to be able to help add calories, okay? Calories to your protocol, and you could choose your own. These are just some that I've recommended, some that I've, found to be, useful in increasing the caloric value of your intake, because the Purium foods are not high calorie, they are nutrient dense. And we're really famous for providing some of the highest nutrient densities with the lowest caloric counts. And that's typically very useful, especially since we are known as the transformation company. And oftentimes those transformative, activities, those transformative effects are and include losing weight and building muscle. But I've put together an addition here. The Purium products alone, as I recommend them, will give you just under 900 calories. The basis, if you would, for creating that that diet. But if you were to add one serving or two servings of some of these other nutrient dense foods, calorie, not dense, but higher calorie foods, you could push that total up to, 1,200. You could push that total up to 1,500. And I want to remind you, as we show in our next slide, that there are certain recommendations, okay? There are certain recommendations for people's daily caloric intake. So you could adjust these. You could adjust them based upon your individual weight, your individual desired caloric intake, your age, and your activity level, because every person is going to be different. So your serving sizes and the number of foods that you pair with Purium are going to create different calorie totals. But I want to remind you that even though typically they recommend over 2,000 calories for an average adult, that is an active person. They recommend 1,200 calories or so. Next slide, please. They might recommend 1,000 or 1,400 calories for a child. They might recommend up to 2,000 calories for an adult. But the truth of the matter is that those are for active people. people who are moving around, exercising, and burning more calories. So let's work together and figure out what that person's caloric need is, not just based upon some recommendation, some blind recommendation, but actually on the activity level and the specific need of the person that we're working with, the person that we're dealing with. And with nearly half of all of the people who are on feeding tubes being children, let's just take a look and realize that the Purium alone oftentimes comes very close to meeting the caloric need of these children who rely upon us in such a very special way. So I just want to remind you that you know what you need more than I do. You have worked with these people, whether it's a family, friend, whether it's a child, whether it's a relative. You've worked with them, and you have a good idea of what, feeding tube size they might have, of how active they might be. You have an idea better than I do so that you know what you need. But Purium, we want to provide the basis. We want to provide a high quality foundation so that when you are ready to really transform and upgrade the feeding tube protocol, that we offer the resources for you to do just that. And what else you do, what else you might do to increase that caloric intake will be based upon your own, knowledge, your own lifestyle even, and your knowledge of what might work best in the feeding tube that you're using. But tonight, I want to introduce you to someone. Her name is Dana Lassiter, and she's the woman who contacted me, I believe it was less than 2 weeks ago. And she was so inspiring. She had so much love in her heart. She had so much true caring that I couldn't help but hear her. And even though this week we were supposed to talk about all the products that we have on special this month, I was going to take you down the list of all the products that we have on sale this month in July. I decided that I would bump that call to next Wednesday. So, I hope that you'll look forward to that. Well, I'll walk you through all of the products that are on sale this month and why you might want to stock up. But I had to bump that call. I had to bump it for Dana and for all the other Danas out there who needed to hear what I had to offer. And like I said, I don't think I'm anybody special, but I do care. And that makes it important for me. So if Dana could raise her hand and we could bring her on and she could share for just a few minutes, I'd really love to invite her on so that we could hear her story. Dana, are you out there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear, Dana. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And so my story is that my daughter, she's 40 years old, and 30 of those years she has been tube fed. Nothing else
Hey,
by
Dana,
mouth.
could we know her name? Could we know her
Sarah.
name for those
Her
of
name
us who
is
are
Sarah.
prayerful people? Okay, let's keep Sarah in our prayers.
And she, obviously there is, like you brought out, nothing out there that is nutritious or nutrient dense. We've even over 30 years tried making our own formulas with very little success. And so I was really excited when we learned about Purium. And I want to start by saying she's not influenced by taste, by marketing, expectations, anything. She doesn't even really know that we're adding Purium to her diet. So the improvements that we saw are solely what we've been able to see. It's not something that she has expected, and so she's just imagining it. Some of those improvements, within a month of being on Purium, her teeth, her hair, her skin looked so much better. One of the big things that people might not be aware of when they're on feeding tubes is their teeth, their dental health gets really bad because they're not chewing foods that naturally help clean the teeth. And so their teeth and their gums can get very unhealthy. Hers really, really improved on it. But I think the thing that was most outstanding was the fact that as she has cerebral palsy and her hands, she's in a wheelchair, goes between wheelchair and bed bound. Her hands are clenched like in a tight fist. Many times you might have seen ones with cerebral palsy have that type of thing, very spastic muscles. And within a month, I was clipping her fingernails and I thought, wow, why is this so much easier? And I realized she was flattening out her hand for me. And I was like, is this in my mind? And I called my son in and he looked and he goes, no, her hands are way flatter. And then we started noticing that her neck was not, because she tends to have it really bent, and her head can be really heavy when I try to hold it up to brush her teeth. And it was feeling much lighter. And we were just amazed. And that was within a month. And she went and saw her doctor, and her doctor was shocked by the results. And like I said, this is not like she wasn't expecting any results. So it's not like it was all in her mind and stuff. She was having actual visible results, and the doctors, everybody can see it. And she's been on it for a year now. The reason I reached out to you was just to kind of tweak the formula a little bit, but it's going good for her.
Wow, Dana, thank you so much for sharing. And yes, I deal with a lot of people with cerebral palsy. Many of them have autism as well. They're nonverbal. They can't express, exactly what it is that they're feeling. But man, the results are always very encouraging, oftentimes surprising, a lot of times mind blowing, you know? And I just find it to be such an honor to be at the helm, of this organization, to be a spokesperson for this lifestyle, to be here with people like you all around me. I see tonight, I expected to have just a handful of people on the call tonight because I didn't think that this was something that would impact a lot of people. Like I said, just a 500,000 people out of 350 million people are on feeding tubes, annually. But I'm so flattered that over 150 of you joined us tonight. I'm so flattered that so many of you care so much that you wanted to learn. You wanted to add this to your repertoire of knowledge, to your bank of knowledge, so that you, like I said, that law of attraction, where when we have something to share, the person who needs us to share it with them somehow shows up in our circle. So please, accept my gratitude. Please accept my love, as it is offered, because I just don't know how else to thank you. And before we go, I just wanted to share another thought. It's a random thought, but it was just really on my mind. So if you stick around for just a few more minutes, 2 or 3 at the most, I was reading a study that was justifying the use of chemicals and the use of red dyes and the use of trans fats and the use of PFAS, the forever chemicals, and each one of them says that if you use it according to the label, that it will just put an itsy bitsy small amount of this potentially cancer causing or debilitating element into your body. And that itsy bitsy small amount is not enough to hurt you. But I want to ask you, have any of you ever been in a rainstorm where only one drop of rain fell down? So this is just absolute, it's so insincere, because you're never exposed to just one time, one small amount. We are living in the rain. It is literally raining down upon us. Even glyphosate is found in raindrops, just, to take it one step further. And so let's not put up with this. Let's not keep tolerating and accepting the unacceptable. We're being poisoned. Our children are being poisoned. There are chemicals that cause birth defects in our food, chemicals that cause Alzheimer's in our food, chemicals that cause heart attacks in our food, chemicals upon chemicals upon chemicals in food that does not even nourish us. We are part of a revolution. We are part of an evolution. And we are on the tip, okay? We're on the cutting edge. And the cutting edge sometimes it hurts. They call it the cutting edge because people don't like it. It's too sharp for them. But dang it, darn it, yes, even damn it. Let's not ever stop. Let's not give up hope. We are messengers of hope. Okay.